Inspirational Creatives, episode 180. Welcome to Inspirational Creatives. I'm your host, Rob Lawrence. Join me every Friday as I chat with successful artists, producers, and creative entrepreneurs who share powerful stories and strategies. They can help you to create the life that you want. Listen each week as these inspirational creatives show you how to take your creativity to the next level. You'll learn how to create a sustainable business that inspires others and gives you the financial freedom and lifestyle that you want. Thanks for listening. Make sure you sign up at inspirationalcreatives.com to get free exclusive bonus material. And now, on with the show. Rob here and welcome to this short action episode of Inspirational Creatives. If you're new to these short action episodes, each Wednesday a new short action episode is published which will help you to take some life-changing action to help you live more creatively. Often they feature actionable takeaways from a longer conversation that's published every Friday. So in the last episode 179, I spoke with author and part-time digital nomad Amanda Turner. Amanda shared her story and experience describing how she has created a life that she loves, living in different countries around the world with her family, working as an author as they exchange homes. Amanda also offered some great insights into her writing and creative practice. In this short action episode, I want to share with you what Amanda does to get her creative work done, how she overcomes creative paralysis, or what some people call writer's block. The key I've learned is to be a bit selfish, but there's a lot more to it than that, as Amanda will explain. So before we get stuck in episode 179, I asked Amanda this question. For you, what would be the real consequence of not getting your writing done?
I turn into a horrible person. I turn miserable. If I'm not making progress, I can see that I'm just sort of start to wither and I'm unhappy and grumpy. Not getting the writing done, it's really a question of mental and physical health. I mean, it's really important because if I'm not doing it, I'm feeling so stifled under a million other responsibilities, half of which I've probably contrived and don't really matter anyway. So I have to move forward.
I wonder if you can relate to what Amanda's saying. If Amanda's not making progress, she becomes unhappy and grumpy. She begins to wither. She begins to feel stifled under many other responsibilities in her life. Her need for creative expression is really important. Hearing this for me has been a turning point. I've always wondered if it was just me that felt unhappy when I wasn't getting my creative work done. If I'm honest, I've always found it hard to articulate to others the importance of why I need to make time each day just to create. But hearing Amanda describe what happens to her when she's unable to make creative progress made total sense to me. For many creatives, and myself included, sometimes we feel we're being a bit selfish by protecting time to be creative, particularly when we sometimes don't always make progress. We'll come back to this point in a moment. What was really inspiring to hear is that Amanda suggests that for her, it's sometimes a question of mental and physical health. Right now, I'm producing a podcast for a chap called Andy McLean. The podcast series is called Face for Radio, and it aims to raise awareness about mental health. I can't help but feel that there's a direct relationship between our creativity and our health, so I highly recommend you go and check that one out. As for author and part-time digital nomad Amanda, her creative progress and writing is really important. Her need to keep on top of her creative work too is one way that she keeps her creative momentum, always making progress.
When we travel, we just got back from Alaska. We're getting ready to go back to Mexico, and then we're going to Spain. But right now I'm doing the final edits on Brazil. You can see how all these countries will get muddled in your head. And I can't be on a trip and still be writing about 2 countries ago. That is really important as well. I mean, that is a driving force to keep making progress.
Amanda holds herself accountable for her work by setting goals and deadlines. Amanda can't be on one trip whilst writing about many other trips. So her driving force is being in one country and writing about another, not many. But she can't be in one place writing about many places, and therefore she keeps up her creative momentum and is somehow always making progress. Now, you might be wondering how Amanda protects her time to be creative when she's off visiting these different countries around the globe with her family. So in episode 179, I asked Amanda this question. How do you be selfish with your time? What's involved?
Well, I'm not saying all men are selfish with their time and all women are selfless with their time, but there's a difference there. It definitely comes out with parenthood too. If my husband needs to get something done for work, he will just go do it. If I want to write a chapter, I'll say, oh gosh, is there any way you could sort of handle the kids right now? And once you recognize those differences, you recognize that you have the ability to take more control of your time and say, well, I have to do this, so this is what I'm going to do right now. And my husband is very capable of taking care of the kids. And if I just said, I'm going to go write this chapter, he'd be like, okay, I got this, But I think a lot of us don't recognize that. We don't see that difference. And you can get so caught up in taking care of your family and cleaning your house and doing all the million chores when sometimes you need to say, I got to let that go. Or maybe somebody else has to do the laundry today because I can't do it. I have to focus on this project. I have to move forward with what I'm doing.
Despite the many responsibilities that we all have, these other chores and options can often manifest themselves as our opportunities to avoid our creative work. Just like the monster resistance that Stephen Pressfield refers to in his book, The War of Art, all these other things that factor into our life can be opportunities for the monster resistance to win and for us not to get our creative work done. Amanda also helps to raise our own awareness around other challenges. For example, by recognizing the differences between how people behave, it can help us to understand ourselves and what we can do to meet our own hopes and dreams. Sometimes we have to take the responsibility and to be fearlessly protective over our creative time. This can mean working with others to make sure that matters are handled and that things get done. In episode 179, I asked Amanda if this was also to do with giving ourselves permission to get our creative work done.
I think partly it is. Partly it's a fear of success, too. I mean, we all have a fear of failure, but a lot of creative people, they get paralyzed and they don't put anything out there because it's a fear of success. It's a fear of, what now? We freeze up.
Amanda revealed to me that whilst many creative people acknowledge the fear of failure, sometimes it's the fear of success that can immobilize them too. Amanda suggests that for many creative people, a fear of success is what paralyzes them, preventing them from getting their creative work done.
I think once you get past that, for a lot of people, that's something you only have to get past one time. I had that with my first book. I was finishing up the final edits or trying to, but I wasn't making progress and I wasn't working on it and I was finding a million other things to focus on. And my husband said, I don't understand. Why aren't you finishing this? You're so close. And I said, because it's what I want more than anything else in the world.
The idea of finishing a creative project that Amanda deeply cared about so much almost made it paralyzing for her to complete.
And because of that, it was like paralyzing. The idea of finishing it was, in a way, terrifying. But after that first book, once you get over that, it's much less so for future projects.
Sometimes creative people make the stakes so high the work doesn't get done. What I've learned from Amanda here is that the fear of success is not necessarily related to fame or fortune. The fear of success can be the actual manifestation and realization of your creative dream. What creative project have you been putting on hold because you're too attached to the final outcome? If you're struggling to realize a creative project, you could ask yourself, is the perfectionist in you your creative resistance? In episode 179, I asked Amanda how she got over this and what she did. Here's what she had to say.
I tortured myself mentally enough until I said, this is ridiculous and I'm going to do this. I had worked so hard for it, but there's just that resistance to take those final steps. Eventually, I got sick of myself and I said, that's it. I have to do it. There's no other choice. Just do it. And I did.
Once again, for Amanda, resistance was playing a part. Ultimately, it hurt enough for Amanda. She got so sick of herself, she had to get her creative work done. In Amanda Palmer's book, The Art of Asking, she describes a story where a farmer's dog sitting on a nail howls away in pain. The farmer's friend asks why the dog doesn't move away, and the farmer responds by saying, it doesn't hurt enough yet. When it hurts enough, the creative work gets done. But that doesn't mean we have to create pain for ourselves to move forward. Far from it. Sometimes it's just about changing our own mindset. So in episode 179, I asked Amanda whether or not she believes in writer's block.
I think writer's block is exactly a lot of what we've just been talking about. It's not as if the muse is eluding you or anything like that. I think it's that fear of making progress, even though that's what you really want, and we just sort of get paralyzed. I think there have been times when I'm struggling with a section, because it's hard. And if I'm really not making any progress, then I can work on a different section. I can go to a different chapter. And like I said, since I have so many books in different stages, if I'm feeling, you can use the term blocked, but if I'm not making progress with a chapter in the Alaska book, I can go back and work on some of the final edits for the Brazil book. So I think there's always a way to move forward, and no, I don't subscribe to, the traditional notion of writer's block.
Amanda doesn't believe in writer's block. For her, it's another form of resistance, and sometimes the fear of making progress. What Amanda does when she feels stuck with the piece that she's working on is that she'll go back and work on another creative piece. I really like this idea. It keeps her creativity in flow. I also asked Amanda if the shift between projects like this in itself helps with inspiration. In episode 179, here's what she said.
Yes, because anytime you do make progress, it inspires you to want more progress. And so I think sometimes maybe you just need to get away from one particular project, look at another, and if you make progress on that one, I think it will inspire you to want to go back to the first and move forward with it.
Anytime you do make progress, it inspires you to want more progress, as Amanda suggests. What I've learned here is that sometimes it's always about always making progress, regardless of what that progress is. Sometimes we need to shift from one project to maintain creative momentum on another project. By doing so, ideas from one project may inspire a new perspective on another project. And we also remain in that creative space, keeping our minds creatively engaged. Shifting gears like this can also reinvigorate our creativity. Before we begin to wrap up, in episode 179, I asked Amanda if there was anything else she would add to what we've discussed today. Her answer surprised me.
I think it's really important to be honest about your own time and how you spend it. Instead of saying, I don't have any time to write, if you made a log of every minute of a day and how you spent it, I'm pretty sure that you would come up with some areas that you could pool to have a block of time to make progress. And that's not easy for people to do. People don't want to give up that half hour of sleep or the show on TV that they're really into or the hour that they spend scrolling through Facebook. But if you can be really honest with yourself about that, then you can find ways to get the time that you need.
Amanda suggests that the more we're honest about our time, the more we gain insights and ideas as to the habits and routines that work against us. In Julian Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, she says, quote, "If you really have no time, you need to make some room. It is more likely, however, that you have the time and are misspending it. Your time log will help you to find those areas where you need to create boundaries." Unquote. My tip for you for this week's short action episode is for you to dig out your journal or notebook and begin keeping a track of how you spend your time. By doing so, you can then reflect and analyse how you would otherwise use your time for your creative work. Also, note in your journal any signs of potential resistance that you're experiencing. What excuses are you coming up with, and what's stopping you from making progress on your creative projects that matter so much? Then ask yourself what needs to be done so that you can focus on your creative work. Remember, progress inspires progress. To summarise this short action episode then, as creative beings, it's highly important we develop the ability to manage our own time, protecting our creative space. Understanding where our time could be better spent on our creative work is the first step towards making progress again when we're stuck. We also need to be aware that it's not just the fear of failure that's stopping us, but the fear of success too. Sometimes we care so much about our ideas and realising them that we can't bear to get them done. Amanda suggests that this gets easier with time and practice, and by getting at least one major project achieved. Remember, there could be a direct relationship between our creativity and our physical and mental health. Knowing this can be a powerful motivator towards making the time and resources we need available to make the progress our creative ideas and aims deserve, because in some shape or form, they will change the world. If you find you're still really stuck after listening to this episode, drop me an email at rob@inspirationalcreatives.com or head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact. Good luck taking action today. To hear more of what Amanda had to say, head on over to Inspirational Creatives and look out for episodes 177 and 179, where you can hear more of Amanda's story and what she had to say. To find out more about Amanda, head on over to vagabondingwithkids.com and I'll chat to you soon. Thanks for listening. Nothing beats the stories and advice of an expert to help you raise your creative game. I would love to know what you thought about today's episode, so don't forget to subscribe in iTunes, where you can rate and review the show. If you like this episode, I invite you to share it on Facebook or Twitter with the one person you know who will benefit from the wisdom shared here today. You can find the show notes on inspirationalcreatives.com/podcast. If you have a burning question or a great idea for a guest, head on over to inspirationalcreatives.com/contact, where you can connect with me there.